joined us for this episode 4 of RIASA Talks. We've got Luke Hendrie on tonight, and he's the son of John, Coach John Hendrie, who coaches on the RIASA program. So it's really good to have him. I'll start by just giving you a little bit of a short overview in terms of Luke's career, and then we'll move on to the questions. So Luke was a Bradford City youth player, and then he went on to Manchester United, swooped in and took him away, and he played for Manchester United youth. Luke managed to get a professional contract with Manchester United. He had a 1-year contract, but then unfortunately he was released. But I'm sure Luke will go into detail about that. But after that, Luke didn't give up. He then went on to Derby County, where he played for the development squad there. So he's put a lot of effort in trying to break into the first team of Derby. After this, he got signed by Burnley, and Burnley were his parent club, where he kind of went on loan. So he did a lot of different loan spells. So he went on loan to Hartlepool, to York, to Bradford City again, and also to Kilmarnock. And then he's kind of gone on to Grimsby Town now. You went to Shrewsbury, I believe, and now you're playing for Grimsby because you originally went on loan to them. So really, you've had quite a lot of experience, and you've had over 100 professional appearances, and you're only 26. So that's really quite a good achievement at your age. So yeah, we're really excited to have you on because that element of being young, and also you've had quite a journey really. So yeah, so it'd be great if you could just start by talking really about the youth academy progression. So if you could start by talking about Bradford City and Manchester United, that'd be really good.
Yeah, good evening everyone. For a start, so I started at Bradford City under 12s through the academy there, and when I signed, I was very lucky actually. I was nowhere near the best player, and the coach, I'm still in contact with him now, and he always says to me that it was touch and go whether we were going to take you, even under 12s, and just when I think I got to under 13s, under 14s, I just started to progress and started to play better, get more confidence, started to develop, and was just enjoying just playing with my mates, and I supported Bradford as well, so just playing for the team I've supported. And then I remember my dad got a call from the academy manager at Bradford. I think I've been at Bradford for 3 years, and it was a scout from Man United had been to watch a few games, and they invited me and 3 other lads from the team at Bradford to go and have a big trial game over at their training ground at Carrington. So I think we turned up at the training ground one Saturday morning, and we got invited for the weekend. We played a big game. I think there was 2 teams, and they were all trialists, so there was 22 lads. And I just got told before, it was just an experience to just go and train and just playing this game. There was going to be no pressure about me signing or them looking to sign me or anything. So I just went with an open mind just to go and enjoy the experience of obviously training at a world-class facility with some players that I'd never played with before from I'd been all around the country. I think there was lads from London, there was lads from all over the UK, really, Scottish lads, Irish lads, and we played this game, and then got home, and my dad was away actually. I think he was away on a works do somewhere, and my mum got a call from the academy manager at Man United, after the session that I had, and basically said, "Oh, we love Luke. We want him to come away and play in a tournament with us in Holland." And I was just absolutely shocked. I thought we were just going there to train, and this was literally, I'd only done 1 session. So went back again, carried on training with the academy. I think it was the under 15s, under 16s at the time. And then I went away to a tournament in Holland, and it was just a massive experience. My first game was against Real Madrid. Anderlecht. I was playing against Lukaku in my first game.
Wow.
And from literally playing, against lower league teams like Oldham and Bury, and then, within the space of a couple of weeks, you're playing against some of the best players in Europe. And again, didn't think anything of it. I thought I was just going just to get some experience. Like, didn't think of signing or anything. And got back from the tournament, and Man U wanted to sign me permanently for their academy, which was great. So I've obviously got here just some differences between the two academies. Obviously at Bradford, we trained at Appley Bridge, which is basically a training ground that Bradford share with the school, and it's one grass pitch. I think it's the same place where Mega and my dad trained at Bradford, so they've been at that training base for years. And then you're going over to Man United, and you're going to a place where there's an indoor AstroTurf. There's dozens of pitches, there's gyms, there's everything that you need, really. And the biggest thing was that it was tough to practice before and after training when you were at Bradford, because you were getting kicked off the pitch all the time because there was like other groups coming to try and train. But whereas when you joined Man U with all the facilities, there was actually no excuse to, like, if you had a spare 10, 20 minutes, like, you could just go into the indoor AstroTurf, just kick the ball against the wall, work on your touch. There was loads of different stations. There was like balls on a rope where you'd go and like practice your heading, and yeah, that was the main difference, really. Just the amount of practice that I had. I was training more often. I think I was training 2 times a week at Bradford, and then went to training 5 times a week with Man U, and obviously coincided with training with better players. I just seemed to really improve really quickly, technically, physically, and obviously playing with older players as well obviously improves you. And just picked it up really quickly. It was just a bit like a wave, really. Just happened all quickly, and was loving it.
Yeah, no, it sounds really amazing, that especially like the differences between the two clubs in terms of Bradford and Manchester United. So being at Manchester United then through the academy, obviously, like I mentioned, you got the sort of a professional contract, really. But unfortunately, it was released. Obviously, you probably planned to kind of push on in terms of going through the Man United process. But how did you cope with that in terms of like mentally? How did that make you feel? And kind of what were the process in finding a new club after that?
Well, I like to think I'm quite a down-to-earth lad, but the one thing that when I was there, and I didn't think I didn't realise at the time, is that at Man U, you get everything kind of given to you. Like, you turn up and you get new boots, you get picked up from training. You don't have to like pay for anything. Like transport. You get clothes given to you. And the one thing that I picked up was like an ego, and like that's not my personality, but like I thought this was the norm.
Yeah,
this was always going to happen. And when I got released, I had a tough time with injuries. I think I missed 2 years. So when the time came, when I got released, it was literally like, I think I was 18, 19, hadn't played a league game. I think I'd missed 2 years. It was, and I thought I'd just walk into any club, because obviously I'd been at Man U. I went on trial and I got knocked back by 3 clubs. I think it was Leicester, Leeds, Nottingham Forest, and then I went on trial to Derby. And I was on trial at Derby for about 6 weeks, which is like quite a long time. And I remember I was playing a game up at Middlesbrough, and I was getting frustrated because like I was working hard, but like things just weren't coming off me. I wasn't getting like a little bit of luck with some things which you need.
yeah.
And I was in the car, and I remember I turned around to my dad, and because I obviously had this ego, I said like, I should be getting into these clubs easily. And like he stopped the car on the side of the motorway and was like, that's the problem. Like you think that you can just walk in anywhere. Like you're on the scrap heap now. And it was kind of like a real realization that you don't get anything in life, but especially football, just handed to you. You need to scrap for everything. And it was a proper like light bulb moment that changed my mentality. And yeah, just I always recite back to it whenever I'm going through a tough time. Like, I always think back to key points, and that was definitely one of them. But yeah, like I said, just got back to basics, and I just wanted to get back playing and basically proving myself, and that's what I did at Derby. Went there. I played a new position. I was always a midfielder, and then I started playing right back, and then just started to get enjoyment back, and again just got my head down, just started to work hard again, and just try and prove myself to everyone at the club that I was good enough to hopefully have a career in the game.
Yeah, no, that's amazing attitude to have that realization that kind of need to drop that attitude and kind of go back to basics and get on with it. So when you was at Derby then, so it'd be great if you could just talk about, because you was on the development squad, weren't you? Kind of what that was like, and kind of like the step up to the first team, because obviously you were probably trying to break through to that first team, weren't you? If you could talk about the differences, that'd be really good.
Yeah, well, the main difference, with any first team, it's just the intensity with everything. It's like the closing down, like obviously getting in people's faces without the ball, the demands, and then obviously with the ball as well. Like, it's the intensity with the ball. Remember a few times Steve McLaren was the manager, and he'd speak to me after training, and just like basic things. Say if I was playing right back and I'd try and play a ball into midfield, but I'd just play a normal ball, and then he'd say, right, well, you need to do this a couple of seconds quicker, because the time that it takes for you to delay that pass, they can get their midfield up and press. So like, it's just all about the intensity and of with and without the ball. That was the main difference, really. And at the time, that the first team were really good. They were like knocking on the door to try to get in the Premier League, and was playing with some really good players there and training with good players. And yeah, that was the main difference. But it was again, like, it was just, for me at the time, my attitude was just like, learn off these, try to be like a sponge, and literally just take little bits.
Yeah.
And just try and stay in the game, because a lot of lads between the age of 16 to 21, fall out of the game, and I just wanted to try and just hang in there, and I always believed that I'd eventually get a chance in a first team somewhere, but it was just a matter of then just really start trying to hang on in at a really good club.
Yeah, no, again, an amazing attitude to have there. So obviously you went to Burnley, and then, like I said, it was that they were your parent club, weren't they? And you kind of went on loan to different places. So how important were them loan spells for you, really, especially at a young age? And kind of what did you take away? Because I think it was Kilmarnock. I think that was that kind of like a changing point, because you made quite a lot of appearances in an important season for them.
Yeah, that was probably, you hear a lot of players, they say that they go from a boy to turn into a man. That was kind of, I went up there and I'd moved. It was 4 hours away from home, and it was literally like, right, well, you're here on your own now. Like, kind of do it for yourself, kind of thing. And yeah, it was brilliant. I had a manager who trusted us and played us, which was obviously good. Bearing in mind I'd have some games where I probably didn't do so well, he'd stick by us. But yeah, I think with the loans, like, I didn't go really young. I went when I think I was 22. And I probably should have gone when I was like 18, 19 on loan to other clubs. Just basically, I think when you get that experience of going with the first team, I think when I came back to Burnley at the end of that season, I came back with, I felt as if when I was in the building, like with coaches and with other players, like you earn that respect a little bit, because you've gone up and kind of done the hard yards, so to speak. And the good thing about playing up in Scotland is that obviously it was the top division, and you get that exposure of playing against some really good sides like Celtic and Rangers, but then you obviously get like the exposure of, with it being the first league in that country, you get the exposure with the media, and games are on telly, and obviously it's a really passionate part of the world with the football. So it was, I think I'd say that was a real turning point, and one that I look back at, and I'd love to go back up again if the opportunity came.
Yeah, no, amazing. Yeah. So moving on to Grimsby then, because you quite obviously went on loan to Grimsby, and then obviously they signed you because of obviously how you kind of played for them. So you're quite an integral player now, really, for them. How's it all going there with Grimsby?
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. This is my third year here. Yeah, I went there, and again, I think it's important as well. You've got to have a good relationship with your manager, and that was the reason why I signed, was because of the manager at the time, and he persuaded us to go, and kind of told me that I would be playing, and had plans for me to maybe captain the team and stuff. And I think I was at the age where I'd had a few loan spells, and I just really wanted to maybe just settle down in one place, and just kind of really go and attack it with and try and play really well. And yeah, it's been great. Obviously played regular. Had loads of different experiences. Played some good games in the FA Cup and stuff. Crystal Palace, and then we played at Chelsea last year. So yeah, it's been great. This season's been difficult. We're struggling this year at the bottom of the league, so that obviously brings a different kind of pressure. But again, like it's just all character building, I suppose. Like depending your attitude and stuff. With this year, it's there's probably been more lows than highs, and it's just got to keep believing that your luck will turn. But on the whole, it's been great. I've really enjoyed it at Grimsby.
Amazing, yeah. Thanks for that. So, could you just share maybe a standout or a couple of standout moments in your career, and kind of how they made you feel?
Yeah, I mean, from like a really young age, like I've always said, if I could play one game in the English Football League, then I'd be happy. And like people used to say, "Oh, you want to set your sights a little bit higher than that?" And I used to say, "Oh, I just want to play one game, and I'd be so happy with that." And that was, I think that was probably the biggest high that I had, my league debut, because I was 21 when it happened, and normally you see like your mates and teammates going through the academy, they're making the debuts at like 16, 17, 18, and I had to be really patient. And there was a lot of times where I thought, it wasn't going to happen, and like I'd probably have to look at other avenues, maybe like different career paths, because I thought I'm wasting my time with it a little bit. But I think that was more just the relief, and kind of obviously you look back, and obviously like we spoke about before, obviously being released from clubs and like bouncing back, and just felt it was just like a real sort of achievement that I'd managed to carry on going. And yeah, I'd probably say that was the biggest one. But I do think like I don't know, I think it's difficult in a way to really enjoy like and really think about the high points in your career, because you're so focused on like the next thing.
Yeah,
Probably like I'll look back at the end of my career and think, oh yeah, this was good, that was good. But like I think, I don't know if it's just like my attitude or my mentality. Like I'm just always thinking about the next thing, and like yeah, try to think of like stuff to achieve and like goals that I want to achieve. But I'd probably say on the whole, my league debut, just to say that I'd done it, was probably the main one.
yeah, no, that's amazing. I think you previously mentioned about the injury. Would that be your career, kind of the career low? And how did you get through that, really? Because people get injured and then sometimes they give up, don't they?
Yeah, probably. I think I had two successive. I think I was out for 7 months, and then the season after I was out again for 7 months. And I think I was only 16 at the time, and I was living away from home with another family, and obviously that brings its pressures and obviously struggles as well. But yeah, injuries, you've obviously you're part and parcel of it. But I think it's just obviously the people that you've got around you. I mean, obviously I'm lucky that obviously my dad's played, and he obviously knows football inside out, and obviously you get advice from him, advice from your friends, coaches, and teammates as well. Like a lot of teammates were coming up to me, and if they could see that I was having a tough day or like a tough period, they'd be arm around you, like just saying like, come on, like we'll help you through this. But there's obviously like other lows as well. Like obviously there's times where, you're going through like a sticky spell, like with your own personal form, not playing, a manager not having you, that's difficult as well. But I think that obviously you've just got to strip it back and, I think you've just got to make sure your daily habits are right as well in terms of like how's your training going, like what's your attitude in training? Are you training your hardest? Are you doing more than anyone else? Are you doing more than the lad that's in your position in the team? So I think it just goes back to that really. Once you're in a tricky spell, which I'm currently in at the minute, like at Grimsby, you just got to literally strip it back to the basics and just take it day by day. With your training and obviously the stuff that you're doing away from training as well, with the diet and how you live your life. I think in the end, your character shows and your attitude shows. And it's the tough times in football don't last forever, really.
Yeah, no, amazing. Yeah, so it'd be great now if you could just share a little bit of guidance really to our students. So, kind of any tips on how you can succeed really from like youth players to professional contracts, or in kind of their situation now.
Yeah, I've got a few points here. I was just like thinking, obviously, but when I was younger, trying to get a professional contract, I think the one thing that I wasn't afraid of, I was always wanting to improve, and like, I'd always ask the coach questions, and some people would say, "Oh, like he's always talking to the coaches, or he's always doing this, he's always doing that." But I think the coaches are always there to help you. That's their main prerogative, is to help the players, and they'd do anything to try and improve you, no matter what it is. And I think you've just got to try and take every bit of information, even if it's if they have a go at you, they're trying to do it for the right reasons. So I'd probably say ask questions and take the coach's advice on board. And especially when I was younger, trying to break into the first team, when you've got the opportunity, you've got to do something that makes you stand out. Like, and people say, "Oh, well, like, he might take on two players and hit one in the top corner." But it might just be something different. It might be, if you're doing a possession or something, like going in and absolutely like hitting someone like in training with a hard tackle, and people are like, "Oh wow, like look at this kid." Or even if you're doing like a game or something, it's like organising people, like making sure you're vocal, so you're standing out that way as well. So there's always different types where you can stand out. It doesn't have to be, skill, or it doesn't have to be like making a big tackle or talking. It can just be loads of different things. But I think that's the one thing, you've just got to take the opportunity when it comes. And again, like another one about attitude, like I was convinced, like I got my professional contract at Man U because of my attitude. Like I remember when I got offered it, it was when Sir Alex Ferguson was the manager, and he pulled us in the office, and he was just saying, like, because it was the time when I had a few bad injuries, and he was saying like, we could let you go, but the one thing that the one thing that's got you the contract is your attitude, and don't ever change. And it just goes to show, like, sometimes it can help, with an extra year, or it might help you get somewhere in the future. So yeah, I'd probably say attitude is probably the most important one, really.
Amazing. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. They're really important. It'd be really good as well if you could just kind of share what you think kind of players need to be able to do to make it and to play as high as they can.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's obviously difficult. I want to try and play as high as I can as well, but like the one thing that I did think of, that probably like I'm probably not great with, is like you've got to believe in yourself so much, like probably to a point where like you're probably a bit deluded with like how much you believe in yourself. Like I've had it. I played with players who were so like set in their ways with how good they are and how they can do stuff, and you think to yourself, no, like they're miles off it. Like that, like they've got no chance. But then like you look and you see where they are now, and because they're so like set in their ways with how much they believe in themselves, like it's better than anything, and a lot of the time that is the difference. How much you believe in yourself. So yeah, I'd probably say that, just kind of be deluded, really, in a way, and as well, every day have high standards in your training, away from training, because the one thing, if you set high standards every day, it becomes ingrained and it becomes second nature to you. So, like, if you have days where you're not feeling training today, and then like the day after you're like, oh yeah, I'll train well today, and it's like you can't really turn it on and off like a tap. It kind of needs to be, keep your standards high all the time, and then it just becomes second nature and just becomes easier in a way, really. And the last one I'd say was set targets. So like I normally try and set like short-term, medium-term, and long-term targets, and like constantly want more, and always looking for ways to improve. So like, just an example, like with the targets, like the short-term targets at the minute, I got left out of our last game last Saturday. So my short-term targets have been train better than anyone this week, try getting the team Saturday, be the best player Saturday if you picked, and then I'd try and set another short-term target next week, and then like obviously try and set targets, longer term. How many goals you want to score, how many clean sheets you want if you're a keeper, how many appearances you want. So yeah, it's always good to look and see where you are. And if obviously you're hitting the targets, you're doing really well. But if you're not, like, don't worry, just keep trying to look at ways to improve.
Perfect. Thanks for that. I've got one more question, and then we'll move on to the question and answer. So you're talking about attitude and all, having great belief in yourself and that. So it's just in relation to attitude, really. So what would happen? This is just a scenario. So if you was turning up to training late, or if you missed sessions, or if your attitude was poor, what would happen in a professional environment?
First, you'd get fined. So like, as players, you have like a fine system, so you'd get fined. But then I think a lot of the senior players will obviously have a word with them, and obviously the manager as well. And it obviously doesn't reflect well, because obviously if you're late to training, we're always told that you're failing to prepare for the game, and it's not fair on your teammates, because obviously we're trying to prepare right, and if there's one person who's not preparing properly, then it's like, well, come on, we need everyone together, kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, it's, again, like, it's just lack of, I think it's just kind of, obviously a lack of respect, really, and a lack of like preparation. Like, I understand there's times where like you're going to be late and it's out of your control, but like majority of the time it's your own fault if you're late, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, perfect. Well, thanks for sharing all that. It was really insightful, and I hope that you get back in the team.
Yeah.
Hopefully Grimsby will start picking things up.
Yeah.
Keep that belief. But what we'll do now is we'll open it up to question and answers from our students. So usually we just, if anyone has a question, kind of ask away, and then I think Martin might have one for starters.
Certainly have. One's a comment, Luke. We say all sorts of things to the players. One of them's about being resilient, and you certainly appear to be a man that's resilient and prepared to do all sorts of things. You know when you said about setting targets, is that in your mind, or do you write things down? How's your way of doing that?
I like to write it down. I've just got a little notepad that I've had for the last couple of years, just to write it down, just so I can look back, because I always seem to forget if I don't write them down.
No, because we're asking the lads in the lockdown to do a lockdown diary for that reason. And the second question is this: a lot of the students will be bursting a gut to get on trial and show how good they are. So a couple of things: if it's a trial game, or if you're there for a week, what would be a couple, 2 or 3 things that they're going to need to do? You've talked about doing something extra, but how do they go to a new environment and cope and show the manager and coaches a glimmer of what they've got?
Well, like I said before, you've got to do something that makes you stand out. And again, like obviously, but everyone will probably be different players here. If you know, there's ways to do it. You know, beating someone, doing a trick, scoring a goal, whatever. But even just, I know what it's like being on trial. You obviously don't want to come across quite, I don't know what the word is really, but sometimes when you go on trial, like you don't want to be like loud and outspoken and come across like that, which I understand. And off the pitch, I think that's probably right. But when you're on it, like, and when you've got the trial, like you've got to make yourself stand out in some way. So whether it's being loud, like if you're going on trial to a first team and you're playing centre mid with the captain of the club and like speaking to him and telling him like, you know, pull over here, like I need you here, like go on, go for this, go and press, or like give us the ball. Like you can obviously stand out that way by talking. And more than anything, you've got to be, when you go on trial, you've got to be better than what the club's got. Because like if you think to yourself, oh yeah, like I think in like a year's time I could probably get in the team. Well, that's probably not good enough. Like you need to be better than what there already is. So that's probably the main thing. So yeah, the 2 things I'd say was, you know, make sure that you stand out and make sure that you're better than what they've got when it comes to the end of your trial.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, I've got a question for you, Luke, and a lot of it's probably what you already covered, but we got 4 guys. It came out of the blue. We got an offer for 4 of our lads, and I've spoke to Martin and Gareth about this, to go play Division 2 in Finland, which is a great opportunity for them, because I know how many of the bigger clubs go and watch these games. What advice would you give to those 4 lads, bearing in mind they're going to be the only foreign players there, the rest are all going to be Finnish boys, and what advice would you give to the boys who thought they might get picked, who haven't been picked? You know, because this is something we're hoping to do now, at least 4 every year. So what advice would you give to the 4 who's been picked? And by the way, they don't know who they are yet. And what advice would you give to the ones that have sort of like left here that might be disappointed?
For the ones that, I'll go with the ones that haven't been picked. Like I've been there before, where I was training in the youth teams, and you see like 3 or 4 lads go up and train with the first team, and then you're thinking like, oh, like any chance? Like I want that to be me. But again, like you've just got to have that self-confidence again, like I said before, like where you've got to stick to the process of thinking, right, I'm just going to carry on with my good habits if you've got them, and your luck will turn. And if it comes to the point where, like, you know, it's been a few months, or you're really concerned about obviously not getting an opportunity, then go and speak to the coach and just say like, listen, like obviously I've seen these lads go over to Finland, like what do I have to do for this to be me? And like I don't think that's a bad thing. Like if you're going to get honesty back from the coach, and you obviously take that on board as well. So I'd obviously got to stick to your obviously the basics, training well, try to be the best player every day, but as well just go and ask, like, and say what do I have to do for that to be me, because I don't like other people doing it and it's not me, kind of thing. But for the lads going out there, again, I'd just say like make sure that you just give it everything. Don't have any regrets. Don't be shy. Don't be shy, because a lot of the time when you go on trial, it's, you know, they're looking at you off the pitch as well, like what your character's like, you know, do you mix well? And obviously if you're the only foreign boys there, you know, it's you've got to try and mix with the Finnish lads and stuff as well. So it's about the stuff off the pitch as well. But just go and just give it a really good shot, and be enthusiastic, and more than anything, come away thinking, yeah, I couldn't have done any more.
That's Mark and Martin. Anyone else for a question for Luke while he's here?
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions I want to ask. Just the first one, you know how you mentioned about setting your goals and like, you know, for like long term, I want to be here. Did you just have like a long term goal, or did you have like sort of stepping stones towards that goal, or not? And the other question was that did you feel any sort of pressure being John Hendrie's son? Like, for example, did you sort of use that, or did it almost consume you a little bit?
With the goals one, I'd always start with short term. So again, like, say if I was going to do a short term goal for the next couple of weeks, it would be, you know, how many appearances would I want to have? How many goals? How many assists? Even like things to do with training, like making sure that, you know, you're the best player in training every day. We've got like the GPS things for like running. So like coming into games, like trying to hit targets for running. Then the medium term would be kind of maybe a couple of months down the line. And then the long term one, I don't really look at the long term one. Like I've got the long term one in my head, but like it's kind of difficult sometimes. The long term would be like, right, have this many appearances by the end of the season. You know, maybe try and get a move to a higher level. Kind of like stuff that's it's not easy to get, but like something that you can really aim towards. And if you don't get it, then you wouldn't be too disappointed. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, like you said, just stepping stones along the way. Because I think if you stick to them, then you know you have a good chance of hitting the medium and the long term goal. In terms of like pressure, like the only time I've kind of really felt it was when I played for Bradford. Like my dad played at Bradford with Mark, and they had a good time there and stuff, and are well thought of with the fans. And it was kind of difficult because he was like an attacking player, and I don't know if like people thought I would be the same, and I'm just like a average like defender. So that was kind of difficult, but no, like he's not put any pressure on me at all. Like when I was younger, it was always, you know, just like help and advice, but no sort of pressure to be a footballer or anything.
Well, I mean, like not necessarily from him, but like I mean, just in general, like you know, the sort of players like sort of think, oh, he's John Hendrie's son, like whatever. Did you sort of get that feeling, like were you know when you were either with the media or whatever, like in the changing rooms and etc., things like that?
No, not in the changing rooms, because a lot of the players now don't even know like that far back really. In terms of the media, yeah, like I mean, most of the time when you look at a program and it's like a player file, it's like Luke Hendrie, son of John, and then it's like but I think you just kind of get used to it really, but it's not something that I really read into. I suppose it's because I've been used to it since I was young really. So yeah, it's just I just learned to live with it really.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what other people think about it. It's about what you think of yourself, really. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, thank you.
No worries.
Thanks, Callum. Any other questions?
Yeah,
I have a question.
All right,
Cedric.
Okay. All right. So, what was the process of you getting those trials? Like, did you have to reach out to teams, or the teams reached out to you, or you had someone who did that for you?
When I got released from Man U, it was the coaches. The coaches there helped get them. But that's not even half the battle really. That's kind of the easy part of doing it. Like it's easy to get a chance to go on trial, but the hardest bit was actually going and doing it yourself. But yeah, it was the coaches mainly, and then obviously sometimes players will do it through their agent, or I've played with some players as well who will just get a manager's number and just do it themselves. So it's kind of a mixture really. But for me, it was through the coaches when I was younger.
Perfect. Cheers, Seds. Any other questions? We've got about 10
Sorry,
minutes.
just a quick one. Did you happen to play with Paul Pogba or when you were at Man United?
Yeah, he was the year above me. Yeah, Paul Pogba, Jesse. I'm going to name drop a few here. Jesse Lingard, Michael Keane, Adnan Januzaj. Yeah, some really good players. Yeah, it was a really good youth team. Really good.
Yeah, I do look at it. And Kenneth, that's a really good question. And if you go back to what Luke said, if you are successful early, you've got to deal with an ego. And if you're not careful, it comes to bite you somewhere else. And everything that Luke's saying to you is real life. That's why it's so good to have guys like Luke that come on.
Cheers,
But
Martin.
good question.
Yeah, good question, Ken. Thanks for that.
No.
Any other questions?
Actually,
I got a question.
One more quick one.
Oh, wait, one sec. Can you go first?
Yeah, just about like the position change from like between like the right back and center mid, like obviously going to different clubs, like wanting to play a preferred position and going right back, and then obviously certain coaches not believing in you to play like center mid, and then obviously when you actually fully switch to a right back, is there ever a time where you still want to play center mid again, or do you get what I mean? Like, how is that?
Yeah, I really struggled to transition to right back. It was when I was at Man U that they started playing us there, and like I just loved like trying to get in the box and try to score. I hated like defending, and obviously when you go to right back, you're a defender, and like I hated it. And looking back, I probably should have. Well, that was probably the worst decision I made, because I reckon if I'd have just listened to the coaches again and listened to their advice and really tried to take it on board, I probably would have stayed at Man U for longer, probably would have got kept on. But yeah, like it was, I don't know whether that was just like myself being like, well, yeah, of course, I was obviously immature. But then once I got to Derby, the coach actually sat me down and said, right, we think you're better at right back because of this attribute, because you've got this attribute, because you've got this. Whereas in midfield, we don't think you do this well enough. We don't do this well enough. And like they kind of like focused all on the positives and how my attributes would like help me stand out in that position. So yeah, that was. But yeah, at the time it was a killer, like, because like you just said, like you felt as if they didn't believe in you because you couldn't play that position. But like I wasn't thinking at the time that they were actually trying to help me, but I thought they were trying to like kill us in a way. Do you know what I mean?
Cheers. Great question, Ken. Anyone else?
I had a question.
Okay, Vic.
So my question is just like you talked about like mentality in the intangibles and stuff that's not like actual skill related. And you always hear like different pro athletes, like real successful ones like Kobe or like Ronaldo and people of that stature always talk about like mentality and having that like killer will and, you know, going out there and wanting to just like take everything personally and being able to just go out there and be the best. Like, how much do you think about that, like on a daily basis when you're going to training or when you're going to games and stuff? And like, how much impact do you really think that has on you and on how you perform and stuff?
Yeah, I'd probably say that was one of my one of my strengths is my mentality every day and stuff. I'm not the most like talented and like not the most like entertaining in terms of players, but like I'd like to think one of my main attributes is like just every day like try to be on it, you know, in terms of like standards. And I think again, like I think that's probably what's probably kept me like maybe in the game. Because a lot of the time I've obviously seen it and like go back to Ravel Morrison, like it was some days he was like unbelievable, but then like some days like he just like didn't turn up to training, and this is like the biggest club in the world, and I don't really understand how especially at that time when we had like examples of like Ryan Giggs and Scholes, like they were like on it every day. Like they would come and train with us and they'd literally like 2-foot you in the chest and that. Like Paul Scholes, it was nuts. Like just in terms of like mentality for us to learn and feed off, it was incredible, really. But like, I mean, obviously, like, you spoke about them athletes earlier. Like that is the main thing that separates them. Like I've played for against Chelsea last year and so against some top players, and like the main people say to me like, "What's the main difference?" And like you can say like moments of quality, like speed and stuff, but like it literally is like mentality, and like that is the main difference in just every day. I'd say that's the biggest key.
Thank you, Luke. Thanks, Vic. A couple more questions and then Luke's going to go. So if there's anyone else.
Yeah, I got a question.
Hey, Ethan.
So you've had a bunch of different clubs that you've played at, and you've probably had a ton of different experiences through all that time. So which like club or experience do you think you learned the most, and sort of what was it about that experience that led to you growing and learning as much as you did there?
I'd probably look back and probably say I'd probably say now, really, probably at Grimsby, like, because you get like obviously the pressure of every week needing to get like 3 points and needing to win to obviously keep the club in the league and stuff like that, and you've got that pressure, and then you've got the pressure from the fans as well, and then like even social media. I'm not private on social media, but like the amount of stuff that you see online, and it's it's frightening, really. But yeah, just in terms of like learning, I'm like I'm the vice captain at the club, and you get given that like responsibility in the dressing room when you've got to help players yourself. So you've kind of got to like be a bit like you obviously not a manager, but like you've got to manage like individuals as well. So you've got that added responsibility where you've got to like look after yourself and focus on you, but then like you've got to like focus on your teammates around you as well. So if like one person's having like a tough time not playing, you've got to speak to them and try and help them. We had one lad last year who came over from Sweden and was homesick after like 3 months, and then you've got to like try and help as well. And then obviously my first couple of years at Grimsby were quite successful. It was like playing well. The team was doing quite well. You're getting plaudits from people. Things are looking good. But then like this year, it's just been kind of really difficult. You're getting told no enough every day when you go to the shop, like how bad you are, and you've got to deal with that as well. So again, it's just like just taking it on the chin and just kind of learning to treat the good and the bad times quite similarly and not overthink it. But I'd probably say this club I'm at now has probably been the most I've learned about football and obviously myself and stuff, and obviously things like coaching and helping players, like man management as well.
Perfect. And we've got time for one more question.
I have a question.
Okay, Diego, thank you.
So when you were talking about how you have to have such high confidence in yourself as well as that like killer instinct to play, how do you also keep yourself humble and not get too cocky with that?
Yeah, it's a real like fine line. I mean, again, like I'm not sitting here and pretending I've got the most like confidence in myself. Like, I'm talking about like players who I played with who were playing at the top level and have that belief. But I think obviously it comes from like your upbringing as well. Like I was always, taught by like family, friends, like obviously values, like not to be cocky, like just to kind of keep your feet on the ground. And but I think arrogance can be a good thing as well in a player, especially when you're on the pitch. Having that arrogance to try something, or you know, if something goes wrong, having that arrogance to say, "All right, well, I'll do it again," and show you that I tried to do the right thing. But again, like arrogance off the pitch can be deemed as a bad thing, and obviously, like people that aren't really fond of arrogant people, are they? But
perfect, yeah. Well, I think we'll stop there because, like I said, we've had you for an hour, Luke. So I just want to say thanks for coming on. It's been really amazing sharing everything with us, and hopefully the students have taken a lot out of this.
Oh, no worries. Thanks everyone for listening.
Thanks, Luke. Brilliant. Thank you.
No worries. Anytime.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
hope you're all back training soon.
Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully.
Thank
Cheers,
you.
Luke.